And hello, everyone, and welcome to Santa Talk with Santa Tom. I appreciate everybody joining in right now. Baker, I see you. Thanks for jumping in. And I know more will be joining and more will be watching on the restream. I'm very excited to have Santa Lincoln Crum, hey, Kev, on the show today. Last week, if everybody remembers, we talked about traditional Santa suits and the difference between traditional and Coca-Cola style suits. If you remember, talked about the difference between the fur down the front and the buttons for the Coca-Cola suit. But today we're going to talk about something a little bit different, and that's maybe some non-traditional type suits, but also traditional suits, because Santa Lincoln Crum is anything but traditional, but he still has that traditional soul to him. So I want to just say hello to everyone. Baker, Kevin, Amber, hello. Bud Johnson, how you doing, sir? Light Up Cove Santa in the house. Thank you. Please tell us where you're from, especially if you're a Santa. Let us know where you're from. Frankie, thank you so much for your support. Amber, appreciate you. Kev and Baker, thank you so much. Baker's always first. But I want to go ahead and bring Santa Lincoln in because I know he's got things he's got to do today, and I just appreciate him so much for being here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome in the man of the hour, Santa Lincoln Crum. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm good, Tom. I'm good. Thank you for having me tonight.
Man, it's always so good to have you. Appreciate you so much. The last time that I talked to you, other than today, was we had you on the Trace Amigos talk show, and we had so much positive reactions for having a Santa on a beard, kind of a beard show, and but I kind of have been trying to bridge that gap in between the Santa and the bearded community. But we are here today to talk about Santa Lincoln Crum and different styles of suits. So, sir, I am going to turn the table over to you and let you talk for the next hour and let us know how you've been doing and what you've got going on.
Yeah. And if you want, when we're ready to cue some pictures, I'll let you know. You can cue them up and we'll talk. Well, first off, thank you. We are soul focused over here in Santa Lincoln's kitchen. We're shooting for my kitchen again today. I've been on a bread making journey for the past year, and I made 10 loaves of bread in the past 48 hours.
Nice.
And so it's nice to see my kitchen's a little bit cleaned up. I cleaned it up to make sure it didn't look crazy for the podcast. So thank you. I hope everybody's having a good night tonight. I hope everybody's embracing the present moment in life today, because that is really the only thing that we have given to us. And so on that note, let's talk Santa stuff. So I am real quick in my Santa journey. I stepped out of Santa's closet on October 21st of 2021. I had a Amazon suit that I wore for the first season, kind of dipped my toe in it, wanted to see if it's something that I wanted to do. And after the first couple of visits with folks and seeing the littles, I knew that there was something that had a calling for me. And I went to a SantaCon down in Atlanta, and I've been to the Charles Howard School. I've been to CPW training with Santa True. Woohoo! I love Santa True's work. I am a professional Santa Claus performer, children's book author. I do use the word performer with intention. I think it's important to a lot of people in the Santa community like to claim to be just Santas, and they have the Santa spirit, and that's just all they need to be Santa. Well, I need more. I need education. I need training. I need to know consent culture stuff. I need to know wardrobing things. I need to know how to perform. I need to know if I have a button fall off and I'm in performance, what I do to fix that problem on break the next time. All of those things I need to really kind of embrace and understand what that is and how to do it if I want to call myself a performer. I was lucky last year to go to Hong Kong, China, and perform for a week. And I had a bad uniform day, and I wore the wrong underbreeches, and they dropped to the floor on me underneath my pants. And I was like, damn, what am I going to do? But I had a handler, and he helped me get my belt straight, and we got it worked out in between music sets. There were 3 or 4 songs they play. And so I had my big robe, and I pulled it. But wardrobe malfunction is real.
Yes.
It is real. And when I had that wardrobe malfunction, it's really one of the first ones I've had since I became Santa. It made me really think about all the women performers out there that have layers that you see, but layers underneath and then underneath, and how that impacts their performance. And we never know it. We never see it. And so becoming a performing Santa Claus gives me a perspective of all the things that had come into play with our suits or what we wear. Now, with all of that said, man, I got some type of Santa spirit in me. I don't know how it is, where it came from, how much it is, it's regulated, whatever. But I know that when I see littles and they see me and we embrace that present moment, that I feel like a Santa Claus person. And they feel like I am that Santa Claus person, and I give them that. And I never understood the dudes that were the Santas for the past 20, 30 years when I was halfway aware of Santas. Wore Santa stuff all year long. I never understood that. Santa Hawaiian shirts and red shoes. I understand now is ABC always beat closing. They're booking parties all year long.
That's right.
You got 2 months to make enough to last a year for a lot of Santas.
That's right.
So, you know, they want to stay top of mind with people. And we feel more than people that don't have the Santa spirit. And so I know that some people find that real kooky, but we feel the certain level of energy more throughout the year. It doesn't just stop in January or after the season. So I decided that if I'm going to be a year-round Santa and a children's book author, and I'm going to write stories and share stories, that I want to match the story, right? I mean, just because G.I. Joe's owned by, Marvel or whoever, you know what G.I. Joe looks like in the movies? Well, he looks like that in the character. He looks like that in the comic books. I want that. If I've got a story about going to the moon, or I got a story about Santa's monster truck, or a little drone called Jingle Jangle at the North Pole, or a big red trainster, I want to look like I fit in that, and I can do that on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
I do that daily. And I don't always wear everything that indicate that I'm Santa. I usually got my superpower Santa, green Santa Claus ring on. And I love my different t-shirts. I got a bunch of different Santa t-shirts that I wear all the time. One of my favorite suits that I wear is a sweatsuit, and it's kind of like velvet material. They sold them on Walmart for 4 or 5 years, I think. And they are red and white, and they've got different Santas on the back and a great big embroidery or a big patch. And then the Santa on the front, I thrifted 2 different suits, one for $30 and one for $8. And I wear them when I fly. And I've started flying more as Santa. And so when I have those suits on and I wear them when I fly, people are like, oh, that's what Santa looks like when he's traveling, right? And it gives them an image. And I take selfies. I take a lot of selfies in the airport, Elfies or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
And so, that I'm intentional with that wardrobe choice because I want to leave an impact for people that I'm saying I am a Santa Claus character.
Right.
And because maybe that gives them a little smile on their face and lets them embrace that present moment in time. It takes them to a little core memory that happened 20, 30 years ago just by seeing me. Man, I love that. That's art in motion. And so when I started writing, I decided, well, I've got to match my story with a outfit. And the children's book stories that I write are based on the stories of the toys and the things that little kids ask me for Christmas.
Right.
And so my first one is titled, Oh No, Santa's Going to the Moon. And so I built an astronaut suit out of a red pair of coveralls that I got on Amazon. And I got patches on Amazon. And I just kind of patched it up. I don't know if you can find that photo, Tom, of me as Astro Santa Claus.
Okay.
So then when I go to events to sell my book or read my book, there I am in front of NASA headquarters in D.C. I had my suit with me when I was in D.C. last fall, and I thought it'd be fun. I did it on a Sunday afternoon, and I went and propped the phone on a light pole and stood in front of the NASA sign and took my picture. and it sealed the brand of Spacesuit Santa for me. And so I use that in marketing. If I'm doing a book signing, that's one of the pictures that I use. And it has elements that cross over from my traditional suit, like the name Santa on it. Mm-hmm. My signature green gloves. I wear green gloves a lot. And so that suit just kind of it goes to the next level of what you think a Santa astronaut would look like. Let's see if there are any other pictures of that one.
There is, and I kind of mixed them up, guys. And here we go. Okay. Here's one.
All right. So I'll just tell you about the suit. So that's the one. My girlfriend took this one in front of a restaurant. That was the first time I put the suit on with all the patches. I was getting ready to go to a small business's launch party, so I decided to wear an astronaut suit to a small business launch party. It went over well. And I wear my white gloves a lot with this because it's got the matching red, and I like the red and white. And I've started wearing boots with fur. I love saying that. But boots with fur with these red pants that give it a real dramatic effect. I want it to be dramatic because the more dramatic and impactful, and not always all the way 100% authentic, exactly, that's not an astronaut suit, right? But it's close enough for somebody to build that core memory with the visual, and it's all they need. And right. So for me, it's fun to be able to provide that.
That is awesome. And here we have another one. I love this picture. I just love your energy, Santa Lincoln. I love your energy. I think if I tried to jump in the air like that, you guys might have to be carrying me off the stage.
But, well, I had help, and right in front of that picture is a moon. I bought a big styrofoam moon before I wrote my story. Oh no, Santa's going to the moon. And so I use it for events. I've had it out a couple of times, and I had a trampoline behind it, so I can jump up on the trampoline, and it looks like I'm bouncing on the moon.
That is nice.
There will be a video with the full moon sometime this year with me reading the book, shot in a beautiful cinematic style. It's just a matter of piecing that puzzle together. But yeah, that's a fun photo.
That is so neat. Well, tell people real quick about your book, because I believe you have a new one out now as well.
Well, I've written a bunch. I've learned a lot about self-publishing. It's hard. It's a hard hustle. Selling individual books is not easy. So the key is to try to sell them in 25 to 50 books at a time. The first one is Oh No, Santa's Going to the Moon. It was illustrated by a young man named Taj Mullins, who I just adore, who's a new daddy and a future Santa probably. And it's a nighttime story about a little kid that falls asleep and ends up on the moon with Santa Claus. And it's a nighttime sleeper for 3 to 8-year-olds. And I really like it because it's simple. It all rhymes. No AI was used in writing or creating or illustrating the book. And it gives me something to add to visits or to sell in bulk as a gift to people. As you know, there's something in me that I love the commerce side of it. So I really, there's products in all of my vision for this as Santa. And so this just happens to be the first one. The next one that I've written is about Franken Christmas, which is a monster truck that they built at the North Pole. And I've already got the blue coveralls here in my closet with patches, monster truck patches ready to go. And we hope to start illustrating that in August and have it ready to sell for Christmas by October, November this year. And that will be in a hardback form book. The first book was in soft.
I love it.
Yeah.
So where can people go to purchase or find these books?
MyLocalSanta.com.
Okay. I'm going to put that in
MyLocalSanta.com. And then there's also a blog post on there about my trip that I took when I went to Hong Kong last year. I wrote quite a bit when I was gone. And it's when we became friends. All my Santa friends in America were sleeping, and I was over there to 13 hours later looking at their stuff, and you and I connected. I'll never forget that. And yeah, it's a fun blog post. It covers a lot of what you would think it would be like for Santa to go overseas and perform.
I'll tell you, I was absolutely blown away when that video of you in Hong Kong came up on my feed on Facebook, and I'm watching this, and I've never seen anything like it. And maybe I don't get out as much as most, but I saw that and I said, this is somebody I really would love to meet and talk with. And you reached out to me, and it was an absolute honor. Yeah. And I think we have a photo here of that. So now we can kind of roll into the unconventional type suits. Now, if somebody was to see this photo, the first thing they would think is that's not really a traditional type Santa suit, but it works.
It's more of a Father Christmas style robe, English influence, which there's a bunch of English influence in Hong Kong. And so they like what you call a royal robe Santa over there a lot. And I always accentuate with, I've got my Santa bag that I use to keep things in. I keep keys on it. So, looking at this suit, let's talk about the four things, the four sensories in suiting up. Visually, how does it look? Does it work? Does it fit me? Tom, it kills me to see Santas wearing suits that don't fit them. I get it. I understand. But if you're going to spend some money, get a suit that fits. Absolutely. So it fits in my arms, it fits in my shoulders, it goes all the way down. But I also have spent a lot of time in front of a camera photographing as a Santa with littles and with people, 1,000, 2,500 in the past 4 years probably. And I understand, I look at that picture and it drives me absolutely crazy that my socks are bunched up at the bottom around my ankle and my foot. That's what I see. I look at that whole picture, I see that. And so that's just the perfect, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, but I notice it. And so you look at the visual. So that's the visual. Then you've got when someone interacts with you with the suit on, their sensories are going. So what do you smell like? Does your suit smell? Does your suit smell good? Does your suit stink? My suit smells good because I've got oil from Tom that he's given me, and I make sure all my suits smell wonderful. But also, how does your suit work on your body, and how do you move with it? And do you have anything that can catch anybody? I've got things on my little pouch, but I keep those contained into me, along with my belt buckle. That's tight. Everything's tightened up. And I like embroidery a lot. I want to have logo memory, embrace it. Look, Santa Claus is one of the most recognizable names, terms in the world, and it's not copyrightable or trademarkable. I'm going to use it. Right. And so I'm going to use it in monogramming. I'm going to use it in all kinds of stuff. So you got your sight, you got your smell, you got sound, you have bells that are clicking, you have keys that are clicking. I use a lot less bells now than I have, primarily because I have noticed that really older people, especially those that have hearing aids who are in a lot of the same space with me when I'm performing as Santa, and littles, maybe those on the spectrum, the bells are just too much.
Right.
And so it's kind of like the ho, ho, ho. Santas love the ho, ho, ho. We love to be loud and boisterous with it. That also freaks people out, and so do the bells. And so I've decided, in the last year, when I really started embracing the consent culture Santa stuff, I've decided that, I'm going to move, not quiet, and not ninja, but I'm going to move, and I'm going to move slow into it so everybody feels my energy like this, not like this.
Right. That's a good point. One of the things that I'm most self-conscious about is of the points that you made is the smell. So I'm always very self-conscious because, as I explained last week, Santa, to everybody in the community, is it gets warm in those suits. And I talked about wearing I wear a cooling vest, but I also talked about little tips and tricks. I got peppermint cologne. that I had a company make for, and it works absolutely wonderful. So, you know, you are absolutely 100% correct in the whole smut, because nobody wants to get around and take photos.
And the deal is, there's nobody more honest than a 4, 5, 6-year-old. They're going to tell you that you stink. And I don't want anybody to tell me that I stink. That's just the day that I'm a stinky, dirty Santa is the day to send me to the home.
Absolutely.
Send me to Santa's home. What else we got? Oh, there I am in a kilt. I love kilts. And that is on my kilt suit, that is a Bell belt from Bell Snickle Bells. Bell Snickle Bells are made in the U.S. They're a lot of fun. My plaids don't match there. That's okay.
I love it.
The other one is one I did a podcast for our local Business First business newspaper, like Biz Journals. They're in a bunch of the major countries, and they interviewed me, our cities across the country. They interviewed me a couple years ago about what it's like to be a working Santa Claus with a mission of feeding people. And so that was the suit that I wore to the interview, and it was a whole lot of fun. They really liked it a lot. It's kind of a tuxedo. So I wore that to several networking events where I'm adult Santa. I just booked, I'm going to be at a brewery for Christmas in July this year. Are there any did those pictures come out with Christmas in July that I sent you?
They did. And while you're talking here in a minute, I can go ahead and download them. I didn't have enough time to download all of them.
It's all good. I know. I sent Tom the pictures late. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be sorry.
But I like Christmas in July. I've tried the last couple of years to build it. 2 years ago, I was the baseball minor leagues bats team for the Reds. I got to be their summer Santa at their Christmas in July event. I got to throw out the first pitch, which was comical because I throw baseball like a shot put. But I did it. I practiced. I took some little lessons, and I got the ball over home plate. I didn't make a fool out of myself, which was fun. And I like the bait. So they had a Bats jersey with Santa on the back and number 25. I wear that, Tom. I wear that a lot, because that's a real identifiable piece of clothing. And when you look like Santa, but you don't have anything indicating that you are a Santa person, people are like, oh, I didn't want to say anything, or I didn't want to hurt your feelings, or I didn't want to insult you. I'm like, tell me. So if I wear something that says Santa on it, it makes it easier for them to say, oh, I love the way you look as Santa. They don't feel bad about saying it, because I've given them permission through having something on that indicates that I'm that type of person. Does that make sense?
Right. It makes 100% sense. And I am, as you're talking, I am trying to get a couple of those pictures up real quick so we can see that and what you're talking about. But real quick, talk about, okay, so I'm a very nostalgic person. I love the Father Christmas non-traditional green, browns is what I absolutely love. So my favorite suit, I think, that you have is this beautiful green here and this here. I just absolutely love that.
So I'll tell you about both of them. So this one that's up now is a suit that I got from Santa Costumes UK. And there's my Christmas in July. So I like to wear orange too. Orange is really my favorite color. My girlfriend's restaurant is called the Orange Clover. And I like to accent with orange a lot. And orange photographs well with green and gold. And, you know, here's the deal. I don't want to look like all the other Santas. You're like, you know, I've never seen green, or I've never seen Santa wear gold, or I've never seen Santa do this. And I'm like, it's because I got, but you do now. So I'm the first time you've seen this. That tells me I'm doing something correct.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely
this
love
is a royal robe. I love this suit. I wear this suit a lot. And
so what are some of the reactions that people have when you wear something like this?
Just they drop their jaw and they're like, oh my gosh, look at you. And it's a wonderful feeling. If
I
you go to
love.
the other green suit, that's the one that when I went to China, my Santa buddy Mark Wathouse that I went with said, "Hey, if you send them your measurements early, they'll make you a suit over there."
Wow.
I'm like, "What? Say less." Here we go. So I sent him my measurements. That was kind of funny. It took me about 4 hours one Sunday afternoon to get them all. And I sent it to him. And the first day we landed, we got all our stuff taken care of at the airport. And then we went to this little shop in the middle of Hong Kong. It was built by a lady that makes suits for and costumes for the Hong Kong theater department, our theater company. And I sent them my fabric and my fur choices and my vest choice, and they made it for me. And I got to bring it home with me, and it's one of my proudest suits. I really, really love this suit. I've only worn it to perform one time in Hong Kong, and then for a dinner show that I did when I came home to 42 people. I ended up wearing it for the dinner show and the presentation, but I really love the suit. It's going to be fun to wear this year. The hat is different. The hat looks like I have this huge, massive amount of forehead hair, and I just got to embrace that, not worry about it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the Doc Martens with the suit. And
oh yeah, man. Let's talk about shoes. Let's talk about
yes.
boots. Boots are very important. I'm a working Santa. I'm a very physical Santa. I do a lot of photography shoots. I'm up and down. I'm marching. When I went to China, I marched 4 times a day with a marching band. I needed to make sure that I had my feet underneath me. And costume boots and costume shoes are not always built for 30,000 steps a day. And so I have a pair of green Docs and a pair of red Docs that I wear. And I like wearing my fur on my calves. And sometimes my fur switches out so it's not attached to my pants or my boots, boot toppers. I've had other Santa critics say, you can't do that. That doesn't look right. And I'm like, okay, well, I was in Hong Kong, China when I took this photo performing as Santa Claus with 9 extremely talented musicians. I was all the way over the world. Yeah. I think it'd be okay that I wore them that way. In fact, maybe they like that.
Yeah.
And so I did do it in just a little bit different because I want to be different. I want to stand out.
Absolutely. I see so many different Santas. I was talking to you before the show about the going out to the Renaissance Festival and just feeling so accepted because I get to wear something not traditional and people love it. But, we see steampunk Santas, we see pirate Santas, we see all kinds of different Santas, and people are just so creative. And I think that that's so wonderful because all of that is going to speak to a different community. Right. Yeah. And isn't that what we should be doing, is reaching all the community that we can? I mean, that's just the way I see things.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And that's why I like doing the different type suits and the different scenario outfits, just because it keeps it fresh and it keeps it alive. And I see a lot of people. I mean, I'm a very active person in my little local hometown and community. And I see a lot of people on the daily that know me as Santa and know me as local Lincoln, and they love me in both. And I can switch in between characters. And look, some people know that the way Santa works, Santa's got helpers, kind of like the popes. There'll only be one pope. There's only one Santa, but there's always popes ready to go. And we're all here working to do the work that we can. And at some point, you never know, old Santa Lincoln might get that call, and I might have to go on the other side of the world, and you won't see me for a couple of weeks at Christmas time. And if that's the case, I've made it to the North Pole. And that happened last year. And it happened because of my mindset, Tom. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight. Was I battle every day the thought that I might be crazy. My mom used to say the best part about being crazy is you don't know you're crazy. But I love all the fantasy Santa stuff. And I've written 15 children's stories about Santa stuff. I've written 4 or 5 screenplays. outlines for those. I've written 2 or 3 really nice short stories about a character named Madame Clausable, who is Santa Claus's sister, who's in charge of romance all over the world, especially at Christmas time. I mean, I have all of these stories, I have all of this stuff in my head. I somehow believe that this is just what on my path of what I'm supposed to do. And if I have those thoughts about writing those stories or making those books or doing those performances or being in the movies or creating movies, producing movies, then I just owe it to myself to pursue that.
Right.
It's not that I'm going to change the world or do this, but by doing what I think my calling is, to perform and be a cheerful Santa community person all day, every day, be on the chair every day of the year, that other good things will follow and other good things will happen. And it'll allow me to tell my story and raise more awareness and get more food donated to the littles that don't have any and the seniors that can't get any. And just be Santa. And so if that means that I perform as Santa all year long and sometimes get paid, sometimes don't, but have that image of Santa and being cheerful and helping people in our community, what a better life. I can't think of a better life.
Absolutely.
And then I get to wear the cutest clothes in the room. I love having the cutest outfit on in the room. So I did something crazy talking about suits. I did something that I didn't think I'd ever say today, but I put on a Easter Bunny suit for the first time. And I did it for several reasons. One, I think that there's probably a piece of that in my wheelhouse for my business, not me portraying Easter Bunny, but having, a couple suits and people do it. And it's the same clients that I serve at Christmas time. So I have a good friend, Santa George, who is a fantastic Santa, and he does Easter Bunny stuff. So I'm like, I want to see what it looks and feels like. So I put a suit on and did a little cookie sale this morning for about an hour. And I got that perspective. It was a good perspective. I like to be nonverbal. I liked just dancing around and waving, and nobody's really too intimidated. And it's not this big, scary old white man with a big, bushy beard. And I did it for the experience, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I got to see it from that, because we as Santas are performers and we are in the industry.
Yes.
And if we do it year round, there are things that we can do year round that will help supplement our income, as well as keep us charged and plugged into the community and the littles and the parents and all that. Yeah, there I am. That's my friend Santa George's suit. It was hot. I have a really large head, so my head didn't really fit very well. But I got to do it. And most importantly, my girlfriend helped me put it on and helped me get set up. She owns the restaurant. She supported me in wearing that little suit for an hour. And we now have business marketing photos with an Easter Bunny in front of her business, in front of the cookie spot that was there, and then for my local Santa. And I don't know. I love it, honestly.
I absolutely love it. And I think a lot of people, and you hit on something right there. A lot of people don't realize that. You said it earlier. A lot of these Santas do this year round, but they're not Santas just Santas year round. They're clowns, Easter bunnies. I mean, it is a lifestyle. It kind of harkens me back to the days of Barnum and Bailey. The carnies. The people that's what they did for a living, is they traveled, and this is what they do. And I have so much respect, because, like you said, that has got to be so hot. Santa suits are hot enough, but a full suit covering your head and everything. We do have a couple questions, and I was going to say,
let's answer some questions.
And I do want to show before we ask the questions, I do want to show everybody the Christmas of July and the shirt you're talking about.
Yeah.
So there it is. I love the Christmas of July. I did my first one last year, and I absolutely love it. Okay, the first one we have is Mr. Baker's actually got two. He says, "Do you have a Santa man cave?"
No. I don't decorate my personal space during Christmas time, because why should I? Why would I? Because I go to everybody's houses and all these businesses and towns and cities, and it's all decorated so nice, and I don't have to put up a tree. I have a Santa studio I've had the last couple of years, and I keep stuff up in there, but I don't have a Santa man cave.
Right.
I wish I
Okay.
did. That
The
sounds fun.
second question is he says, do you carry candy canes?
I always have a giveaway,
Yep.
whether it's a candy cane or a little ring. My favorite thing that I give away is a business card with one version of a picture of me. We've got over 10 different ones. I tell the little someday they're going to be as collectible as Pokemon cards, but they're me in different suits with the QR code on the back, and they can scan that QR code to get to my book or book me or put a booking request. But here's the thing. I tell them, I hand them my business card with my picture on it. I say, now listen, if you keep this on your refrigerator all year long, you stay on the nice list.
That's awesome.
And there's thousands of these on fridges already. I've done almost 10,000 of these cards in almost 5 years. And they're everywhere. And
Right.
it just keeps people front of mind. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And Amber has a question. She says, do you go to Santa Claus, Indiana, much to Holiday World? We are close-ish.
I go every year and a half. I hope that I'm trying to get my grandsons from Maryland to come into town this year. And we like going on July 4th. It's not too crazy busy of a season. It's funny you asked. I cold called them a couple weeks ago because after the pandemic, they kind of dropped having a Santa Claus. And so they're an hour and a half from me, hour and 15 minutes. And so I called them and got to HR and I said, do you all have any intentions of using a Santa for Christmas in July, for different events? Said, no, we've kind of got away from that. I go, okay. I said, well, do you want to keep my name and number in case you ever need a Santa Claus? And I'm close, and I think I'm one of the best Santas in the country. She goes, no, I don't think we need to. I'm like, oh, shoot. I put down on my list, call her back in 3 months.
Yeah.
Call her back right before Christmas in July. And then I'll call her in October, and I'll do that for a year or two. And then if I ever hear back from them, great. If I don't, I don't. No big deal. But I'm not afraid to make those calls to inquire about being Santa. When I first became Santa a few years ago, I was afraid to just apprehensive about not now. If I hear an inkling that somebody needs a Santa, especially for a large event, I'm all over it.
Absolutely.
Or if it's for a daycare that really needs me or a homeless shelter or something that really needs me, I'm all over it.
Absolutely. There's two things that I always say, that I kind of equate what we do as entertainers, and some people may take it the wrong way, but you got to understand the way I'm saying it. First of all, is when we put that suit on, it's almost like you become a superhero. You kind of likened your cards to Pokemon cards. You're something that's collectible, something that's in somebody's mind, because like you said it earlier as well, is you are recognizable. Once you put if I walk out of my house right now, the little young lady that lives across the street, she's about 9 years old. She just starts hollering, "Hi, Santa Tom," and just it makes you feel good. And the second thing is the old Smokey and the Bandit movie when Sally Fields asked Burt Reynolds, "What is it that you do?" And he says, "I show off." Now, I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but basically that's what we're doing. We are showing off what is inside of us that wants to come out once we put that suit on, right? And I
agree. That's cool. That's a good way to look at it.
Absolutely love it. Well, so what is it that you don't do? So you're the Easter Bunny now. You're Santa Claus.
No, I'm not the Easter Bunny now. I just wanted to see what it felt like. I tell you, I look at it like kind of like a hand. And the center being the Santa type character, Santa deal. And then there's movie and film, which I'm co-producing a documentary with Santa George titled Beyond the Chair. It's about the work that Santas do all year long. So there's a producing and an acting film. I was in a Hallmark style film that was filmed in Louisville a couple weeks ago as Santa. And then I'm a performer as Santa on the international and national stage. And then the next level are visits locally, corporate, at home, and all of those things. And then the other one are events for like cities and towns and parades and light ups and brunches. And then the last part of it is my writing. And so all of them, all those folks on the wheel combine, keep the Santa deal going, but they're enough for my ADD behavior and my wacko jacko silly. I'm going to do something different every 6 months behavior now in my life. And so I go hot on one for a little while and then cold on the others. And then I just jump back and forth. And it's taken me a couple of years, but I'm learning how the quarters work. January through March really needs to be rest. And then April, May, and June is education and suit work. And then July, August, September is vacation and Christmas in July and book sales and gearing up for book sales. And then October, November, December is visits and photos and book sales. The one constant is book sales every quarter. And, I have found that my creative works in cycles too. And so I'm more creative in the second month. This is the second quarter of the year. It's like it's given a couple months for the Santa season to die off and be exciting and all that. February is a pretty depressing month for me. It always has been. I've been in the real estate business in the past, and during the winter, it's always hard. We always have winters and all that. And so it's Christmas. You've got so much hype from the Christmas season to come off of that. It's hard to decompress. So there's some mental health challenges that happen in February, right. And I deal with those head on. And but I think eventually what it will be is I'll always have either movie, books, or performing work that's happening. A lot of the film work that I'm trying to do now is for stuff that's seen in the holidays. They don't film Christmas commercials in October. They film them in March through June.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out a way that I can move into that space, which is outside of the greater Louisville, Kentucky area. That's a national platform. And I have to end up on that stage. And that is all part of that mission. I'm just here to do this. And I'm just here to figure out a way to make sure that the story is told, and it's all good. Yeah.
Amber made a comment earlier when you were talking about that. She said, Santa Lincoln Crum, I caught one of your videos from way back on a house you were selling. Kevin and I laughed a lot.
The shed house. Yeah, it was a little $10,000, $20,000 house that I sold back in 2011. And it was a real piece of shit, but we couldn't say shit. And so we said, that's a real piece of shingles. That's what every house needs. And then this house has really shag carpeting. And so it was fun. It was fun. It was the early days of YouTube. My fellow realtors didn't understand it. Now I look back and think that's pretty genius work 15 years ago. So, yeah, thank you. Well, I appreciate that.
We got about 15 minutes. We're going to start winding it down, but I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a...
you can find me on YouTube and all the other social medias at either Lincoln Crum or Santa Lincoln Crum or My Local Santa. I did the brand My Local Santa for a reason. I didn't put my name in it for a reason, because if there is ever a national brand of My Local Santa, then it's already established. I'm sorry, go ahead.
There you go. No, you are absolutely perfect. This, like I said, this is a broad question, but and you don't have to go into great detail, but you've already explained so much about yourself. You travel, you do all these things. You're a chef. You do so much. You stay so active. What makes Santa Lincoln Crum do what he does? What makes you want to do what you do?
I like to feed people.
Yeah.
So whether it's feeding them food or feeding them positive energy, core memory making moments, that's feeding their soul. I like to feed people. I like to take care of people. I'm a codependent in recovery. I am a very codependent person. In my past, I've been able to think that I could save people and do this, when in turn ends up you don't save anybody and you don't save yourself. And so I had to go through that self-discovery, and I did. And Santa kind of made all that okay for me, because it allows me to compartmentalize, these moments in life And Santa's just a wonderful vessel, and I get to dress up and wear the prettiest clothes and boots with the fur. And I said to somebody the other day, a bunch of Santa's nothing but a bunch of old queens. And now watching them all argue back and forth about stuff on social media is like, you all are nothing but a bunch of drag queens. You are. I swear to God, you are. I did tell a friend of mine the other day that I would consider dressing up as Krampus. And if I ever went as drag, I would go as Mrs. Claus. There's something internally in me, and I think that's just the creative person that has been suppressed for so long that is okay with saying the crazy stuff out loud, not for to see what response I can get from someone, but to see what response I can get from myself when I say it out loud and I know somebody else is listening, not just to myself. You know what I mean? And so I that's really important. That's really important. It's honestly, it's the way I live my life authentically. And I haven't always. I got lost, in the real estate business, you live in the past, you live in the future, you don't live in the present. I live in the feeding people is a real present moment, intentional activity. And so I became a chef because I fell in love with a chef and a restaurant owner. And I decided if I'm going to love a chef, I need to speak food. And so, that gives me great joy. And it really supplements and helps provide a base that Santa all year doesn't yet, but will. And it also allows me to be creative. I build these great big grazing tables. Have you seen those where you go and you've got all the different meats and cheeses and charcuterie boards and all that? I just get real creative and do that. And so that's what makes me tick. That's what makes me get up every day and be the change you want to see in the world, without a doubt. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Morgan. Without a doubt.
Yep. You are so, I don't know if you realize how inspiring you have been for me. All right. It is so refreshing because, there's drama. People wouldn't think that, in the Santa community, it's got to be it's Christmas year round. There's drama, folks, in the Santa community.
Fat old white men.
Just as much as there is in the bearded community. And you can choose to get involved in that and let that weigh you down, or you can choose to go do what we love to do, and that is be Santa and be something, an entertainer, and make memories for families that's going to last a lifetime. Do you want to make a memory as a traditional in a traditional suit? That is absolutely wonderful. You want to make memories in something that's not so traditional? Hey, that's perfect too. Whatever that family needs, that's what we are supposed to be there to provide. And I just think it's absolutely wonderful. I cannot forget the first day I saw that video of you marching in the Hong Kong airport.
Man, so I get there and they're like, we got a few minutes. I get there and they're like, okay, we've got a 9-piece marching band and we got to do our route. There'll be 3 stops with 3 performances, and we stop and take pictures. And here's what I know about people in China and Chinese culture. They are intentional with the rules that they don't break. Right. Don't break the rules. If you got a line and the end of the line is here and you got 2 or 3 people that still need to get a picture with Santa, in the U.S., we take their picture. We don't there. It's the rule is, we cut it off. And so we did the first performance on the first day of 9 days, and we got back into the room, and I go, that felt pretty good. And the lady goes, we did it in 47 minutes. I go, how long were we supposed to do it in 45? And she's like, 30 minutes. 30 minutes, between 30 and 33 minutes. I'm like, holy shit, we're not going to get this. I got a marching step. I can't go too fast. I can't go too slow. If there's a gate that's full, it's just, oh my God, what are we going to do? And by the second day, the 6th or 7th performance, we were under 35 minutes. And we were under 35 minutes every time. The next day, the band got yelled at by their band leader, and they were very clear that they were out of step. And by the third day, we were doing them in 35 minutes or less, and I was moving with them and dancing with them. And it felt one of the most natural, happy places that I've ever felt in my life, Tom. It felt like this is where I belonged.
So what you're saying is there's no room over there to get your feelings hurt like there is maybe in our country
No.
with people that age.
Yeah, no feelings hurt. No, these are the rules. These are the rules. It's the way it is. And my big bushy beard with their security cameras didn't always work in the behind the scenes security when we had to go back to the back part of the airport. And so it wouldn't always pick up my image correctly. And I'm like, man, and you just, what are you going to do? There's nothing, you just wait. And that's why I had a handler, and the handler got it worked out.
Amber and Kev, they're husband and wife. They're both in here.
I love you both. Thank you. You're awesome.
She says, I feel comfortable saying this because my husband's in here. She said, I love you, Santa Claus.
Well, Amber, if you know anybody at the Hallmark Channel or anybody that produces movies, please tell them I am a Hallmark movie in real life. I went through a real bad divorce 5 years ago. I moved to a little town that's Christmas City. I moved on the square in a historic building, and I became Santa Claus once I moved here. I started helping the homeless people and feeding the homeless communities in the food pantries. I fell in love with a local chef who's a single mom who just works harder than everybody else every single day. And now all we need is like one big Christmas tree to save and a villain. And we have a Hallmark movie. We have it. And I laugh and joke about all that. But, I kind of do feel like that's what my life is. And I plan on living happily ever after with my chef. Right. And it is kind of what happens on the Hallmark Channel. And it would make sense that somebody that embodies Santa lives a life that maybe is fun to be a part of, like a Hallmark movie set. And so in one sense, I joke about it, but another, I'm telling you, once Hallmark calls me, once that happens, I know. And we're like, oh, we love him. We want him to be our signature Santa for the Hallmark Channel. I say things like that out loud. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I say things out loud like that more so than I used to say, oh my gosh, I want to be the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade Santa, or I want to be a Santa on this level. I see it more in film and interacting in shows and documentary and stuff like that more than anything. Yeah.
Amber, you joke about that, but I did a video on Krampus. Lincoln mentioned Krampus. I love the history of not just Christmas here in the United States, but all over the world.
Oh yeah.
And just love the history behind it. Love the whole aspect and idea of Krampus and La Befana and the Christmas Witch and just Bells, Sinterklaas, everything. I love everything about the history and love talking about it. So, hey, do it, because I guarantee there's not many other people out there doing it. Well, we are going to start wrapping it up because I know love Santa Claus, universal and platonic. Okay, is that the only?
Well, it's funny that Gareth says that. That's something that I learned overseas, was that the language of Santa is nonverbal and it is universal. And so that was a really wonderful, encouraging thing that just by seeing me, people felt a comfort and people felt excited to be in my energy room presence. And I really dig that. And I did have something I wanted to leave with you all, if I could, Tom.
Absolutely.
First off, thank you. I appreciate you. You're a cool dude. I can't wait to be in the same room with you physically someday. Second, we are co-producing a movie called Beyond the Chair, which is about a documentary film, me and Santa George, about what Santas do all year long. And thirdly, and most importantly, I started this podcast by saying this, and I want to finish by saying it, and that is that, the present moment is the only thing that we have. And I use a guide in my life now that I want to make my 8-year-old self excited and my 80-year-old self proud. And the only way that I can do that is by being present and intentional in the people that I'm with and that I love. And all of those elements because I live in the present moment. And my world opened up a great deal when I realized that that was the case through all this podcasting that I'm doing, all these people that I'm meeting. And I really want to say thank you for letting me be a part of your world and your viewers' world and everybody in your space. I want them to know that I love them, and I want them to live in the present moment, because that's all we have.
Well, you're very special. Ever since we've had you on the show, you've just become a hit in the bearded community. Everybody loves you. I just keep doing what you're doing, and you're so creative, and you're coming up with new ideas. I love following the journey. I'm one of your biggest fans. Just absolutely love you. Want to really get on and get some books for my grandkids.
Yeah, man, we'll take care of that.
I want to support you, man. I want to really
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I hustle books for a living.
That's right. That's right. So I appreciate you. You are more than welcome to come on anytime you want to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, showing us your beautiful suits and talking about your travels and everything that you have going on. I want to thank everybody here. Santa Lincoln's got a bunch going on even today, but I want to thank you guys for joining us and being a part and helping this channel out. Thank you so much, guys. I want to end the show with, like I end every show, and that is, remember that this world could use a little kindness. So please, always be kind to one another. And as always, keep Christmas in your heart year round. Guys, we'll see you next week.